Chapter 3, First Grade, Part B. First comes love, and then comes marriage. Then comes a baby in a baby carriage. A life in order produces happiness and enthusiasm. Let's start off by imparting a little Marriage Knowledge 101. The more relationship experience one takes into their marriage, the more relationship baggage there is to come with you on the journey. What do people actually mean when they advise their children and friends to experience life, people, and relationships before they settle down? I have asked this question many times to many people of different cultures and walks of life. Some parents are in fear that their child, regardless of age, may be getting into a serious relationship, deciding prematurely to settle down with the person they know too little about. Many people feel that what they consider young marriage stops that part of life that involves discovery, travel, fun, and exploration. And there are those people who literally desire for their kids, friends, and loved ones to have multiple sex partners and dating relationships with the mindset that not everyone will know what they are doing in the bedroom. And you need to take your potential life mate for a test drive, test the waters, or try on the pair of shoes before you buy them. Although this advice and way of thinking is widespread in our American Western modernized culture, it is very flawed and counterproductive to the goal of being happy and successful with one partner in life. On the contrary, I am not suggesting that people get married before they have taken ample time to really get to know each other. The problem with dating as a means of getting to know each other is that it usually involves physical intimacy, which creates complications beyond simple repair. These ideas of sexual relationships prior to marriage are only setups for failure. We have to learn the best way to build bridges over the deep canyons of mistakes we have dug for ourselves. Our family has been immersed in recent years more and more into the Hebrew Eastern culture and mindset surrounding not only courting and marriage, but life overall. In comparison, I can honestly say that even though many may consider certain cultures' traditions as old-fashioned or irrelevant, reliable values and standards considered old and outdated are undeniably advanced and proven to bring desired outcomes. Over centuries of application, the standards set forth by the culture of Jesus, the Christ, have proven success, tried and true. Exposure to and acceptance of these lifestyle guidelines have led many generations into the desired results of lasting love, loyalty, and lifelong marriages. We must study the Word of God we claim to respect and the people of the Word who have lived according to the standards set by that culture from its origins. If we are to improve the current state of marriage at home, we need mentors. One marriage at a time, starting with you, we can change our world. Yeshua's, Jesus' culture, reveals a blueprint for building a marriage that is sustained on a higher level of existence. Soaring above the issues we see most people in our American society struggle with within their marriages. Please allow us to clear the smoggy, polluted air by stating the obvious. We have yet to either meet or hear of a story in which a successful, thriving married couple's secret to true and honest wedded bliss was that they experienced an assortment of partners before they got married. Your past is your past. It can neither be changed nor should it be a crutch used in your present or future. But knowing better now empowers you to acknowledge mistakes. Acknowledgement of our past errors is vital in discontinuing bad choices and habits in our lives and in the lives of our children. May your fountain be blessed, and may you rejoice in the wife of your youth. Proverbs 5:18. It always has and always will be an unnecessary marital challenge when people start life out thinking marriage is supposed to come after sex. Should you be physically attracted to your mate? Of course. Should you want to take your platonic and abstinent state of relationship to the next level? Absolutely. But if you choose to do things in your own order, as opposed to acknowledging there is a supreme order that works and leads to success in your marriage, why not put aside your carnal desires and really take the time to get to know who a person is and how being attracted to them may affect your future? Whether you believe in a hell or not, the concept of it is not far away from any of us. So allow me to expose this sex outside of marriage, westernized frame of mind as the stinky, sulfur-smelling, toxic deception from the pit that it is. We ponder on the reasons why the divorce rate of the Western world is so incredibly high. Instead of studying the blueprint for marriage, we make our own rules and rationalizations and then get frustrated with the results. Preparing our kids for life by prioritizing it in the order of graduate from high school, go to college, get a degree or 2 or 3, get a career, and then settle down is by far the most common misconception in our westernized mindset of how a happy life and success really work out. A lie that we continue to feed into our broken children as they struggle through the pains of one failed relationship after the next, all to get their degree and feel totally lost about life. Don't sit the book down. I am not about to suggest forced arranged marriages where two complete strangers have no choice but to be joined in matrimony by the forced hand of parents, tradition, and culture. Although there are elements of the philosophy that can't be denied to be related to such marital and life benefits of longevity, prosperity, and loyalty, because that's not enough. We need happiness, right? All concepts you learn in this book will be easier to accept if you replace your definition of love as an emotion with the understanding that love is an action and a choice of loyalty. For those of you like me who are not so good at calculations and are still stuck at 17 years of marriage at only 33 years old, allow me to do the math for you. My husband and I were both 16 years of age when we tied the knot. Our marriage was not arranged. We were not forced to get married, and our parents were as confused about it as you are who are reading this. But don't be too concerned. I will explain everything, eventually. Isn't it funny how parents will do their best to impart their opinion and push their desire of what their child's spouse should look, talk, walk, and think like, what educational background they should have, what age is appropriate for marriage, what race they should be, etc. On the other hand, if parents are well educated in the realm of marriage and successful in the relationships of life themselves, a wise offspring would be remiss to ignore the advice of such parents, all the while having good communication of their own desires and views of what a suitable mate may be for themselves. If more people could trust their parents' judgment because the parents have set a great example to follow, less people would end up marrying out of spite and lack of understanding as to the character of the person they chose. Great marriages don't just happen. Great marriages are a product of persistence, constant growth from sought-out knowledge, mentorship from successful married couples, and a desire to understand and apply the things you learn. My goal, and more importantly, I believe, my purpose, is to put an end to immature relationships and equip generations with knowledge on choosing a good mate and living a life of productivity with a spouse who supports and works cooperatively toward goals that educate and open doors for not only you, but for others. I could very well be shown mathematically how to add 29 and 22, but if I refused to carry the 1, my answer would be 411 instead of 51. This analogy is actually a true repeated challenge that some of my students faced during my time as an assistant teacher at an elementary school. My observations throughout my various jobs, careers, and assistant teaching experiences in the public school system have allowed me the opportunity to see an amazing correlation between relationships, maturity, self-awareness, and the connection to the man-made system of formal education and the way it sets some up for failure while simultaneously setting others up for success. Success is a relative term, meaning different things to different types of people. But I'm sure most can agree that, at minimum, a successful marriage is devoid of constant arguing and miscommunication and filled of constant growth and fulfillment in each person. Likewise, a child who is motivated by academics and independently pursues school subjects aside from their parents' push to do well is more apt to make it into higher levels of formal education. Those statistics show A and B honor roll students will graduate and work for someone else as opposed to creating their own businesses and companies. History has shown us that the majority of entrepreneurs and innovators were C and D grade earners, and many either dropped out of school or were homeschooled. In marriage, homeschooling involves the amount of work you put into your relationship behind closed doors. A and B students can be terrible at marriage if they are expecting everything to be black and white, overanalyzing and memorizing in order to regurgitate, being robotic and rehearsed. You have to have a passion in your heart to find a solution to problems that matter if you want your life to matter. Many C and D students struggled with the idea that they were not learning what they needed for real life and couldn't wait to take a go at adulthood. We have to be real with our marriages and throw academia out of the window. You can know it all, but if you don't know how to apply the knowledge to real life, it's all useless. And this is why honor roll students grow up to work for high school dropouts. I was a 4.0 high school graduate who went to college for some years. I now work with my husband, who dropped out of school in 11th grade and began to learn the trade skill that has provided for our family from day one and funded my college pursuits. Many students who struggled throughout formal education and lacked a desire to follow the predetermined path laid out by the school system are innately entrepreneurial and end up being the bosses and company owners of the highly educated A and B students. How does this compare to marriage? From my perspective and observations of relationships, those who feel comfort in following the culture and never questioning why we are taught certain subjects in school and why the American dream we are told we should have is to go to school, then college, then get a good job, are the ones who don't ask the question, what should we be doing according to God's standards for success? In recent years, I have noticed more and more books are being published highlighting the agenda behind convincing a mass number of people to work for someone else through a lifetime of a much defined and strictly monitored system of education. This same problem lies in marriage. People are being educated on what it is to be considered normal and acceptable and good in the pursuit of finding and keeping a mate from a system and mass media that has abandoned its roots in the culture of the Hebrew people, namely the Bible, and the picture of marriage that it paints. We saw our early marriage as a complete defiance and rebellion toward the status quo and the failed relationship examples laid before us in the generations that created us. Similarly, and to my point, my husband and I were both students that made teachers cry. Not because we were bad, but because we questioned everything that didn't line up with what was in our spirit. My husband, John, stopped attending school in 11th grade and started working. Today, he is a successful business owner whose greatest joy in his career is teaching others to deploy themselves into their own control of their destiny, either as business owners or overall better people who can contribute more to society. We appreciate and respect all the teachers who have put a part of shaping who we are and working to educate us both through the formal education system and informal teaching. especially those who have supported and guided us in breaking the mold and setting new core standards. Reading comprehension is an integral part of first grade. Likewise, taking the time and attention to focus on the study of your life mate and the tools needed to create a growing and evolving relationship takes a willingness to comprehend who you are, who your spouse is, and where you both want to be in the future. The ability to read is great, but comprehension of the message is where the power lies. Learn to read and comprehend your relationship so that you may apply needed changes. Thanks for listening. Join us for the next one, Chapter 4, Second Grade.